As busy realtors in the Duluth-Superior area, we are constantly out and about in the community and around town. This show highlights some of our favorite spots in the area and some of our partners in the real estate industry and the role they play in your next real estate transaction. We are Team Dusick with Edina Realty, and this is Everything Twin Ports. Hi everybody, it's Chad Watzak
and Madeline Dusick.
We're Team Dusick and Edina Realty. On today's episode of Everything Twin Ports, we have our very own home inspector today. We're super excited. We've got Dan Doran with Rock Hill Radon and Home Inspections today. Dan, welcome. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're super excited. Again, we're going to follow Dan around today throughout this home that we're going to inspect. We're going to show the highs and lows of a home inspection. Dan's going to walk us through the process. We're going to interject questions and things of that nature. So if you're looking at buying a house, coming up here, Dan's a great resource to learn more about the home inspection process and what that entails. Let's head on site.
All right, now would be time to go ahead and inspect the kitchen area. So usually the first thing I start with is kitchen floors. Obviously walls, ceilings, floors, stuff like that is done during the inspection process, but since we're in the kitchen area, we'll go ahead and look and inspect the floors. We're just looking for cupping floors, any cracking, anything like that. Obviously we have a beautiful wood floor here, and it looks very, very good. We have tile over here. We're just making sure there's nothing cracked or anything like that that's in the kitchen area. Our walls and our ceilings, like I said, we've already looked at that, but we'll just go right in and look at it again, just to make sure that we didn't miss anything. One of the first things I do is I like to test the appliances. So we'll come over and we'll go ahead and make sure that every burner works. So we'll get this guy on, and we just want to make sure that the elements work. Sometimes you get stoves that get a little older or whatever, and you get an element that's out. So, you know, if there was one here, we'd go ahead and take a picture of it and put that in the report. Sure. The other thing, since we're standing here, is we'll go ahead and do the microwave. You just want to make sure it works. You don't want to buy a house and have to come in and put in new appliances and things like that. So we'll test the vent fan, and we'll go ahead and test the surface light. Everything looks really good. One of the things I do is just make sure it's not going to fall off the wall. I know that kind of seems redundant, but I want to make sure that everything is the way it should be, okay? So after I test all of our appliances and things like that, what I'll do is I'll open every single cabinet door, and we'll just make sure they're not going to fall off. They open and close. We're going to look at the drawers. We're going to make sure they open and close. They're not off the tracks, anything like that. And then we'll go ahead and just test and make sure that we have good water pressure, which we've already done in the plumbing inspection as it is, but since we're here, we'll go ahead and be thorough. And we have good water flow there. What we're going to do is, since we're here as well, we're going to go ahead and look at the plumbing and just make sure that nothing leaked since the last time that we tested it. So plumbing all looks good here. It's all run correctly. So after we look at the sink and the plumbing underneath, we'll go ahead and look at the countertops. Obviously you can see beautiful granite countertops. Not all countertops look like this. Some of them would be delaminated, and if there was ever a situation where there was something wrong with the countertop, we'd go ahead and take a picture and we put that in the report. So last but not least, the refrigerator. So what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and take a cup, and we want to make sure again that all of our appliances work correctly. Everything in the appliance works. So we'll go ahead and just test and see if our water system's working. There's not a heck of a lot you can really do about the refrigerator as far as inspection. You just want to make sure, open it up, make sure that the freezer's cold, and make sure that it's, you know, it's sturdy and it's not unleavened. With gas fireplaces is number one, that there is a shutoff for the gas. Very important, obviously, for safety. And then just making sure that it works. Okay, perfect.
All right, we're down here in the utility room, and Dan's just going to walk us through some of the things he's looking for when he's doing the inspection. So we're just going to let Dan kind of have at it here.
Okay. So what we're looking at here is a hydronic boiler. They just heat the water and send it either up through our registers or down, in this case, through the floor. Right over here, you can see that this actually has in-floor heat.
Okay.
So that's important to note to the client.
Sure.
So let's go. What I look for generally on hydronic boilers and heating systems is our exhaust and our intake. Our intake doesn't really matter too much. It intakes air from the outside, but the exhaust is an important thing to look at. You want to make sure that it's not leaking at all because it's just nothing but carbon dioxide. So on this one, we're looking really good. There's no leaking, no evidence of leaking. So what I like to do then is we'll go ahead and take the cover off the boiler so that we can inspect the flame and inspect the unit itself.
It looks like there's some water in this like catch pan thing. So
Yeah.
Something like that, is that something you would put on an annotate on the inspection report?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take a picture of this, and this will be featured in the report.
Okay, nice.
And so the problem with this is these systems create moisture, and that's fine. That's what the catch pan is here for. Although it is just going to rust away, and then eventually it's going to be all over your basement floor. The main thing with the electrical panel is that you can't put your fingers anywhere inside the panel. This one is inlaid in the wall, so we don't have any issues there. So what we'll do is we'll open up the panel, make sure that we don't have any missing knockouts at all, so as though someone couldn't come in here and put their fingers in and touch the bus bar.
Sure.
That's 200 amps, so that would be the end of you. We're looking for GFCI and AFCI breakers. Here you can see we have GFCI breakers. These GFCI breakers need to be in for the kitchen, for the bathrooms, things of that nature.
Water sources are
Yep.
fine.
After we inspected the outside of the panel, the bar breakers, our GFCI breakers, stuff like that, it's imperative that we take the panel off and look at any wiring concerns inside. For these breakers here is we want to make sure that the breaker size corresponds with the wire size. So we have 14.2 here, 14 gauge wire. That's going to a 20 amp circuit. That's absolutely fine. It can actually be to a 15 amp circuit. So we just want to make sure we're going to go through and just make sure that all of our wire sizes correspond with the breaker size. And everything looks really good. A common thing that we see is what's called double tap. And as it were, we don't have any double tapping in here, but I'll explain that to you anyways. Double tapping is when you take two wires, two circuits, two different wires, and you put them on the same breaker. So you'll see this one here only has one wire, but if it had two coming out of it, that's what's called a double tap. So what you want to do is what it can do is overlap the, override the amperage. So what you want to do is go ahead and fix that and give it its own breaker, that wire, so there's only one wire going to a breaker.
Okay, so Dan is going to talk us through a radon actual test and the process of that, along with what the heck is radon. Dan, take it away.
Okay. So radon gas is actually a poisonous gas that kills 22,000 people a year. It's the leading cause of cancer, lung cancer, behind cigarettes. So what where it comes from is it derives from uranium, which uranium is in rock, and it's the breakdown of rock. The radon comes from cracks in the floor, sump basins, things like that. It comes up, you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. So they call it the silent killer. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just open these up. It needs to be here for 20 or 48 hours. It just tells the homeowner that please don't touch it, please don't open up any windows, things of that nature.
Sure. Great. Well, there you have it. It's in our next episode of Everything Twin Ports. Again, we want to thank Dan for being here today. It was great to get through the home inspection. So the process is 2 to 3 hours of a home inspection. We hit some of the high points today, not exactly everything in depth, but we got you get a little flavor of actually what's happening during a home inspection. One thing I really get a lot of questions about, I know Madeline does too, when we're out in the field working with buyers, is a home inspector like a building inspector that you would like see with the city, and Dan, that's just not the case, I believe.
No, we're I'm a professional, unbiased third-party inspector. My goal is to educate the buyer on their new house. Every house is a little bit different, so we go in and we're just thinking we're going right towards the buyer and
helping them out, giving them that third-party opinion, helping put their mind at ease, giving them a list of things that need to be addressed, and because they're paying for your services. Right. So what are some other services that you provide along with the home inspections?
We do radon tests, obviously, which we covered in this video. Basically, we're looking at everything. We're looking at the exterior of the home, roof, foundation, plumbing, electrical. Okay. We're looking at big ticket items like your water heater, your furnace, things like that.
Okay. You install the radon mitigation systems too?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Well, if anybody has a need of a home inspector, Dan's a great one to talk to and to hire. He can be reached. What's the best way to get in contact with you, Dan?
You can either go to the website at www.rockhillradon.com or 218-310-8732. Just give me a shout and we'll schedule something.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dan, again for being here today, and thank you for tuning into this episode of Everything Twin Ports. We'll see you next time.